Don't mind my hair. Hi, welcome to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Mallory. If you'd like to become one of my pals, it's super simple. Just hit the subscribe button down below, turn on all your post notifications so you don't miss out on a future video. If you want to hear and follow along with my health journey, then keep on watching. So, if you are a returning pal, welcome back. If you've been subscribed to this channel for a very, very, very long time, I'm talking 10 years or more, around 2012, you may have remembered back, I think I was 25, like 24, 25, maybe 26, okay? Mid-20s. And I started to gain weight. It was about 10 pounds a year. Within a year, I would gain 10 pounds. I started getting hot flashes. And just overall just felt like, ugh. Hopefully my mother won't wanna hang me out to dry for saying this, but this was around the time she started menopause, and I very much could relate to what she was going through. Like, we both I jokingly would say she shared her hot flashes. I'm like, don't give me your hot flashes. It would be winter. We would not have the heat on because we'd both be hot all the time. Our house was kept like a meat locker. Other people would come over and they'd be freezing, and I'd be in like summer pajamas, like going, oh my God, why? Why is it like an internal inferno inside my body? Why haven't I melted to the floor yet? So I was watching an episode of The Doctors. I don't know how many of y'all are familiar or seen the show, but anyways, it's like a daytime show, and they have like different doctors from, like an ER doctor, a plastic surgeon, a general like physician, they rotate things out, but for the most part it's been like the same crew forever and ever and ever. And at this point they had the ER doctor, the plastic surgeon who also is or was an ENT, ear, nose, and throat, a pediatrician, and a gynecologist or OBGYN. So she doesn't just do gynecological stuff, she also does the babies, delivers babies and stuff. Anyways, it was an episode called Ask the Doctors, where you had a question you could ask the doctors, and they would say, maybe it's this, maybe it's that, but really you should talk to your doctor to find out what's going on, because they can't really diagnose you, because you're not their patient. So this woman was young, probably in her 30s maybe, or early 40s. I don't remember, but she was young and having menopausal symptoms, which is, from my understanding, it's not that's not a normal common thing, but that's not to say it doesn't happen. So it was suggested that she might have premature ovarian failure, and it was recommended that she get her FSH, don't ask me what that stands for, but your FSH hormone levels tested, and see her doctor and go from there. I think the FSH is a follicle stimulating hormone. We're gonna talk about things, lady parts. You have your ovaries, your fallopian tubes, a uterus, your ovaries have follicles, you release an egg, anyways. If you know this stuff, you know this stuff. We're not going to dive deep into it. So I think that's what the FSH is for, like a follicle stimulating hormone. Like, is everything working down there? And so having watched that episode, I started to do a little research and thought maybe that's what I have, because I could totally relate to the lady on the TV. So I went and had my FSH levels tested. I might have had something else, maybe just a general, like, is it CBC? I don't know, or where they do like a general blood panel. And I went to my gynecologist at the time. I said, these are my symptoms. This is what's happening. And I also found it weird because at the time I was working with hometown trainers. I did have Shelby, my former personal trainer. Sometimes she would come once a week, sometimes she'd come twice a week, and we would work out for an hour. So I'm like, I have a personal trainer. Then there was like that short period of time where I was working out in a gym setting with a personal trainer at a gym. And so I had all this like equipment available to me that I did not have at home. So I found it bizarre that while I'm working out, I'm still gaining weight, and having these horrific hot flashes and like low energy. Like I joke a little because I have to chuckle at this. Like there'll be like radio ads, TV commercials, and like someone will start listing off like, do you have low energy? Are you this? Are you that? Like they start listing off like symptoms, and I'm like, oh my God, that's me. Like, what's the problem? What's the treatment? And then it's like, but it gets to that point that I can't relate, which is like, are you a man over the age of 40? You probably have low testosterone. And who's to say I don't have low testosterone? All women have a little bit of testosterone. All men have a little bit of estrogen. But I'm definitely not a man over 40. So, I went to this, the doctor, the gynecologist doctor, and she was like, okay, well, based on what we have going on here, I'm not 100% sure. You might have Turner syndrome, which not many people have heard of. I mentioned this to somebody and they're like, what is that? It's some kind of a genetic thing. I think people who have Turner's, and if you know, please correct me down below if I'm wrong, but they're like shorter. They have certain like characteristics about them, and they have issues with fertility. I really didn't match like what was being said, and then I was told if I ever wanted to have kids, which I don't, I would need a donor egg. And even though I know I don't want kids, like it still upset me because it's one thing for me to make that choice, but it's another to have that choice made for you. So I had to have like this blood work done for genetic testing. I basically was like having my blood drawn every other week, and I still have all this like footage and documentation of this time of my life on my channel. I probably should make some kind of playlist or something to make it easy for y'all if you want to see these kind of videos. Again, anything you want to know, comment below. So after this back and forth business for a little while, basically my gynecologist at the time, well, first of all, the Turner syndrome came back negative. Like all my chromosomes were normal, and I cried tears of relief. So she's like, I really don't know what's going on. I'm gonna send you over to see a reproductive specialist, MRA, MMI, I don't know. Anyways, now I'm seeing this new doctor, and I'm in a new building where people are going to try to like, figure out their fertility about making babies. I'm like, again, I do not want to be with a child ever. But maybe they could help. I had already kind of did a lot of the work they were going to have me do ahead of time. Like they had all my labs, they had all the testing. the lady, you know, she was looking at me like, so I think you're menopausal. And I'm like taking my sweater off and I'm wearing a tank top. Okay, it's like winter time. She goes, oh, you really are hot flashing. I'm like, yes. So she's like, well, let's just, you know, figure things out, because after multiple tests, more blood work, it came back that my estrogen level was that of a post-menopausal woman. So she suggested I go do like an estrogen patch to give my body the estrogen that I was missing, and it's a medication I've been on ever since, and it's a medication that's a little wonky for me right now, and my current we'll get to my current situation, but it was a problem that never was solved. I feel like I'm constantly hitting a brick wall, and that's very frustrating. So years go by and I still have issues. So I go to a different doctor because the reproductive specialist is like, well, since you're not trying to make a baby, send you back to the gynecologist. The gynecologist was basically like, yeah, don't know what to tell you. Still. And I'm just like, okay then. So there was some doctor that supposedly like was good with hormones. And I started to see her right before I think we moved here to Florida. And again, wanted like all this blood work and stuff, which don't even get me started with me and blood work. Like, do not get me started. So I went through the hell of that to have whoever packaged it all up to have it be sent. Part of my blood work was supposed to be like cold and have an ice pack on top, and the other part was not. Well, they did it backwards. So my mom gets a phone call saying, there was a oopsie whoopsie. Like, we got to do this again. So at the time, my normal, like, whatever they look for was pretty much normal. I think my cholesterol was maybe like a smidge high. I remember, like, as my psychiatrist at the time, he was going over the stuff with me, and he goes, do you eat a lot of cheese? And, like, in my head, like, a reel, like, a montage of, like, me and the amount of cheese I used to consume was, like, spiraling in my head, and it's like, yeah, you could say that. So he was like, try to eat less cheese and eat like more fibrous things, and told me like how to like improve that. So that's when we were like, well, what about the other half of all this blood work? And he's like, well, that would have gone to the other doctor, found out there was this incident, the oopsie whoopsie. So I had to do it again. And then the lady was like, there's a possibility that my thyroid could have like a low hormone. Like, I don't know much about the thyroid and like TH or whatever goes on in this area, but whatever it was not her area of expertise. So she said one of two things. It could have been a simple lab error, that I guess that happens. So she recommended, which I haven't done this, but like I might, okay, is to do an at-home, like you get a kit. It's probably, I don't know if it's like a doctor has to like order it for you or what, but you get a kit where you just simply prick your finger, I guess, put stuff on paper, if you get my drift, and have it go off to be tested, or maybe it tells you something right there and there, I don't know. And you should have an answer. And then it came to this, well, I probably need an endocrinologist. So I don't remember the type of doctor she was, but I remember she wanted to like do this whole thing to like revamp my life. And I was so stressed out, so worn out. I had just moved here. Like, I'm trying to like get used. It's funny, even though I was born and raised on Florida sunshine, I was trying to get used to my new surroundings, my new habitat. my new community, like a new routine. We still have so many boxes to unpack, just so much to do to feel like somewhat settled here, that I just didn't have it in me to be trying around with things. Because it wasn't going to be like, well, just take this supplement or medication or whatever and you'll be fine. It's like, well, this might work, it might not. There might need to be tweaking. We might have to, like, there was going to be so much maneuvering involved. I just, And it's tricky when you're living in Florida and there's doctors in New Jersey, because it's getting tricky, and I had to start switching over to doctors here. So like I have a new person that helps manage my medications that my psychiatrist used to handle. And that's been very lovely. I've been blessed. I did see an endocrinologist. It did not go well. I ended up leaving there having a panic attack and dry heaving in the parking lot. So needless to say, was never going to see him again. But nowadays, you see a lot of physician's assistants, not necessarily a doctor right away. Sometimes a doctor will see you, like, if it's your first visit, and then you do follow-ups with a PA. Sometimes you just see a PA, and then if you have tests and stuff done, then the doctor will go over those results. So when it comes to gynecology and having, like, annual examinations and whatnot, I found an amazing PA. I could just go on for days about how lovely and helpful she was. So I had voiced my concerns, because since I moved here, some good things have happened. And that is, I started working out with my current personal trainer. And within my first year of working out with him, for the first time since my mid-20s, I actually lost 10 pounds. By the way, in case you're confused, this is my blanket. It's a little chilly in here. So soft and cozy and cute. Anyways, so for the first time ever, I lost 10 pounds instead of gaining weight. I was like, ugh. I lost 10 pounds. Never in a bazillion million years would I have believed it, because I was working out in New Jersey. But also in New Jersey, I was highly an anxious mess, severely depressed. It rained all the time. It was always cloudy. It was always cold. You never wanted to be outside. And I was eating horribly. Like, I own up to my ish, right? Like, yes, my diet was atrocious. My lifestyle wasn't so great. But I moved to sunny Florida, and I'm the most active I've ever been. I eat better than I ever have. Is there room for improvement? Always. But I moved to Florida, and I just gotta say, the one good thing is, like, that was a miracle that year I lost weight. However, that was 2019 maybe. Maybe not my first year, but my second. Because I remember, like, during the pandemic, when this whole the world turned upside down business started at the tail end of 2019 into 2020. Also, I was sick a lot in 2019. So I wasn't working out at the gym. Then I was back at the gym, but not for long, before it was closed for a while. So I think we all kind of, our eating schedules and routines and stuff changed a little bit during that quarantine process, and we all kind of gained a little bit of something. The quarantine 15, but here I am, sunshiny Florida, and I have some new symptoms. The main new thing is that I'm losing my hair. And that is something I don't talk about. I filmed it a lot, many videos mentioning it, and then I delete them. But it might not look like it, but my hair, because I get a lot of compliments on my hair, which I do thank y'all for your compliments, but it is a lot thinner than it used to be. It doesn't frizz like it used to be. I mean, it still gets frizzy, but it's nothing like it used to be. So in some ways, am I happy? A little bit, but let's just be real. Like when I go and hold my ponytail, I feel like I'm holding on to nothing compared to like the good old days. I had a lot more hair. Yes, it's long, but as far as body and volume and thickness, like it was like thick. I thought, geez, this hair isn't going anywhere for the rest of my life. Like it was so thick. I started going gray pretty early. Probably saw like my first gray hair like in my 20s and maybe like another one later down the road, and then like the 30s hit, and like mostly on my left side of my head is where most of them are. I do have some on the right. I started in the beginning, like every time I'd see one I'd pluck them, but I'm also losing hair, so I don't want to like lose more hair because I'm plucking them out, but they're gray. And I have unforgiving hair, and that's so dark that if there is a gray hair, like it's pretty darn visible. So my new rule is, unless it's like right front and center and like sticking up like an antenna and the world can see it, I pluck it. And my melasma, that was a thing. Like my upper lip and my whole entire forehead had hyperpigmentation. That was also a thing that happened in my 20s. And that's more common in pregnant women. And again, I don't know nothing about birth and no babies. And so I did some research on that, and it said it was also due to like excess estrogen, which, you know, putting on an estrogen patch, maybe that had something to do with it. I learned that the sun made it worse. So I always and to this day have to have a minimum of an SPF 50 on my face, and then I always am wearing a hat to like try to cover things up. But there's like this area right here, like my whole skin is a mess right now. We can like ignore life. I think we're all a little bit like disheveled, but like that just returned within the past couple months, and I was like, wait a minute, because it's not like I stopped wearing sunscreen or like putting something on my face to like, I don't know, none of my face routines have really changed to cause this situation. It's like that's new. Losing my hair is new. The hot flashes, like they come and go, and they're back. Lucky me. And then my weight gain loss journey, like I hit a plateau, and I was kind of okay with it because I'm like, it's a plateau. If I just improve my diet, if I get on all these vitamin supplements, if I make some subtle changes slowly over time, like I'll see results. And that's why, like, yes, I go to the gym twice a week. I do my Tai Chi, I do my Aquafit, but I also get outside and I walk like crazy. I try to do 1 to 2 miles in the afternoon. I like to have that me time where I go out and I listen to usually an audiobook, sometimes music. And then my mom and I together after dinner, we take a walk and we try to do a minimum of 5 miles. And usually we're pretty close to hitting that mark, which is impressive. And I tell my trainer this, you know, and he's like, ooh, like he's impressed. So, I got on the scale, and I'm not going to tell you how much I weigh, but I weigh the heaviest that I ever weighed. I weigh more today than when I moved here. When I moved here, if I were to make this video like when I moved here, I would tell you then, oh, I weigh the most I've ever weighed in my life. And now I've exceeded that number by a little bit. I told my mom, I'm like, I just have to say this. I'm like, because you know me, we live together, you know my lifestyle, you know how much exercise I do, you know, like, I've improved my eating habits. I said, but my Fitbit report has I have a smart scale that's by the Fitbit brand, and so it syncs up to my Fitbit account on my phone. So when I got my weekly Fitbit report, it told me it'll tell you how much weight you've gained or lost, or like if you stayed the same. And the number had gone up by like more than my liking. Because I'll just say this, for my age and my height, I'm technically overweight. I may not look like it, but if you were to look that up, the whole BMI system and body fat percentage, it's way off. So my mom was like, no way, that can't be true. But I was like, well, we do have to factor in I am gaining some muscle. But the fact that when I get on my scale, not only does it show my overall body weight, it shows my BMI and my body fat percentage. And there's numbers that I'm just not satisfied with because they're, I want to say, unhealthy in quotes, because like I don't want to be too negative with stuff, but just for me personally, like, I do have a weight goal in mind, and I just genuinely, like, that aside, my main goal in all this is to first and foremost be healthy, and secondly to feel comfortable in my skin, because this is just something I'm not used to, and there's a lot of things going on where I suffer and I struggle, and there's a whole lot more to it that I'm not really going to dive into every little minute detail of what is currently happening, but something is off, which could be thyroid related, could be hormonally related. So I have a doctor's appointment tomorrow because I had the physician's assistant, the very lovely lady, she gave me, she checked some things over, and there's nothing like abnormally wrong with me from what she could see. But she's like, you're gonna want to see this doctor who's also in the same practice. She's more educated about women's hormones and all this kind of stuff. So we'll see what she has to say. The lovely lady, the other lovely lady, who I call her my medicine manager. She like manages my medication. My medication management lady. I think she might be a registered nurse, an RN, an LPN. I don't know her exact title, but she is in the medical field, and totally allowed to, like, you know, she's good. So, she suggested I see a reproductive person because a reproductive specialist, they're going to look at everything. So she gave a referral, so I have that on the back burner. But the physician's assistant at the gynecologist said, have you tried an endocrinologist? Because if I were you, I'd steer clear. So my mom's like, we tried it. It didn't really work. Their main focus was on diabetes. I don't have that, although I am hypoglycemic. But when I see things and hear things about insulin resistance, which I don't know a lot about, but apparently if your body, I guess, has insulin resistance, to me that sounds like you resist your insulin. Your body makes and stores like fat, and it's that visceral fat, the fat that's like a beer belly, like it's really hard. And sometimes I have that issue, and then I'm like, I can breathe a little bit of sigh of relief. When it turns back into subcutaneous fat, that's like those fat rolls that you can like grab and jiggle. Probably not a nice thing to say, but it's what I do to myself. I'm like, ooh, look, like that means things are loosening up, and when I sweat like crazy, I like to think it's my fat crying, you know, and that I'm losing weight. So I always try to keep a positive attitude, but I have so much going on, and I just wanted to give an update, just kind of lengthy update, but an update, because I talked about this on my channel in many videos. again in my mid-20s. And nothing was ever resolved, in case anyone followed that journey and you're curious. And if you're new, well, welcome. So I'm gonna maybe, because I've been looking for something to kind of document and film, and maybe it'll be figuring out and discovering what's going on. And so one step at a time, and I will do my best to try to come up with a playlist for this. But anyways, I don't know if y'all are interested. Feel free to leave any comments, questions, suggestions down below. I do feel like I'm probably leaving some information out. Some obviously on purpose, but some probably I'm just forgetting. Because I've been through a lot. And it's late. I'm tired. I gotta get up early because I had to move my gym session to earlier in the day so I could make it to the doctor on time. And I'm not looking forward to that at all. So with all that being said, thanks so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it or you want to see more, hear more, you know what to do. You give that video a thumbs up. Feel free to check the description box. Leave all your comments, questions, suggestions down below. And as always, till next time, keep it quirky.